My mission on the show is to help make you aware of what goes in you, on you, and surrounds you. Because everything in our lives, what we eat, touch, and use to clean, build, and furnish our homes, is linked to our health and well-being. My show today is about how to get rid of these toxins. From the flame retardants in your mattresses and sofas to the additives in your toothpaste, shampoo, and food, and that's just to name a few, you're being bombarded with an untold number of untested chemicals. Now, in case you missed it, last week's show with Cheryl Patton, the head of the Biomonitoring Resource Center at the Commonwealth Institute, spoke in depth about the body burden we all carry from the chemicals in the products we use daily. And in today's show, you'll learn how to actually detox from these chemicals. So if your energy's low, or you're dealing with chronic illness, or seem to be aging prematurely, or having trouble losing weight, my guest today says it could be related to toxins. Brenda Watson is a New York Times bestselling author and one of the foremost authorities on natural detoxification methods, optimal nutrition and digestion, and herbal internal cleansing. Her most recent book and PBS special is called The Detox Strategy, Vibrant Health in 5 Easy Steps, which explains how prolonged toxic exposure can lead to poor health and chronic disease. Welcome to your Supernatural Life, Brenda.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Great to have you. So your book's fantastic, and you write that there's tons of chemicals we're being exposed to, but you focus on a handful of toxins that we all come in contact to daily and probably are not even aware of it. So tell us which ones we should pay attention to.
Well, I think that, number one, the Environmental Working Group has pretty plainly tested people out there, and our main, chemicals coming in, and I think a lot of people don't realize the air, that there's so many in our air, but the 10 toxins, of course, that are with the long names, but the things that extend shelf life of our products, and prevent microbial growth, they're the ones that trigger allergic reactions and skin rashes. We have the emulsifiers or foaming agents that are in different types of products that we use. We have preservatives. We have sodium lauryl sulfate that's in our cleansing agents and shampoos. Mm-hmm. We have things like in petroleum jelly and polypropylene glycol, that's a vegetable glycerin that's mixed in a lot of our foods, and PVP and VA copolymers, and that's a petrochemical. So it's petrochemicals. It's our common household cleaning chemicals that we're exposed to every day. It's the outgassing of our furniture. Uh-huh. It's everywhere. It's so pervasive today. And the thing of it is, Beth, I really want to come across to people as being an educator and not doom and gloom.
Right. I mean, the thing that people need to realize, and I think because this is really important, is that just because it's on the store shelf doesn't mean that it's safe and it's been tested for safety.
Absolutely.
And so
not.
It's really up to us consumers to pay attention and to be proactive. And that's why your book is so valuable, because you're showing people, to wake up, pay attention. And then
read labels.
Right, read labels. And then, so I want to talk about that, and then also talk about how to get rid of them. So common ways we can pick up these toxins, you mentioned soap.
Okay, first of all, our skin. What you put on your skin every day is very important. Lotions, creams, things like that. Because 3 ways that toxins get into the body. Your skin is your biggest eliminative organ. That's number one. The second way is air through the lungs. That's the second way toxins get into the body, into the blood circulation. Mm-hmm. The third way is through the gut lining.
Oh, okay. So I mean through the food that we're eating.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you've got anything that you put on your skin, the way you wash your skin, the water that are you filtering the water coming through your shower? Mm-hmm. Things like that in terms of the skin, what you're putting on your skin. Are you reading the labels of the skincare products that you're using? And then you have secondarily in your home, and we'll go through all these things, you have the, how clean your indoor environment most of the time is 10 times more toxic than the outdoor. So in your home, you've got to look at ways that you can, keep your air environment plus all your, cleaning chemicals, like we said. And then your gut is where you take in a lot of toxins that we don't realize, because
Right.
that's where we were talking about reading the labels in the grocery store in foods, your dyes, your food additives, things like that, but also your pesticides.
Right. So, which do you think of the three, if someone's going to start on a program to start eliminating chemical toxins,
Mhm.
which should they start on first? Their skincare products, their household air, or the food? Which would you recommend?
I think the food,
Mm-hmm.
because let me just say something. Your small intestine has the surface space of a tennis court.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that.
It's huge.
Huge.
And we have the
So
most control over what we're putting in our bodies, the food we eat.
exactly. I think that if you look at, where we have the most control, it's what we put on our body and in our body. Our air is the most elusive. Do
Mm-hmm.
you see what I mean?
Yep.
It's the most. I'll give you an example of that. I have a very, very well-known person that I am friends with that lives in California,
Mm-hmm.
and she says to me the other day, "I eat totally organic, and other than I do wear makeup," she says, "how could I be toxic?"
Oh.
And I'm like, "You live in LA. Do you breathe?" You know
Right.
what I mean? So the
Yes.
air, for people, they don't see it. And unless they smell something like exhaust fumes or something, I don't think we think of it
That's
as
true.
much.
And things like formaldehyde or even carbon monoxide don't have an odor. So we're being exposed in our furniture, our mattresses, or off gassing. We don't necessarily are smelling the stuff, but it's getting into our lungs and into our bloodstream. And
Right.
unfortunately, babies too. Pregnant women, what they're being exposed to are it's passing through into the placenta, and newborns are being born already toxic.
Right. They're calling them pre-polluted babies. They did a study of women's breast milk and found that the average woman's breast milk contained 32 chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the point. It isn't a chemical here, a chemical there. It's the synergistic effect of all the chemicals circulating in the blood. There is not anyone has any clue of how that affects the human body. Ideally, the liver should filter the blood, but our livers are so overworked today because of the environmental chemicals. And when the environmental working group says, well, there's 92 chemicals, when we randomly test people across the United States in their blood and urine, that's 92 chemicals. I mean, my goodness, how in the world could you ever think that your body, on top of, you know, eating a lot of processed food, which is beside the point, and not eating as much of the, live fruits and vegetables today, and the obesity epidemic that we have, one of the things that people don't realize is your petrochemicals, or your fat soluble chemicals, are stored in fat cells. And so that when someone collects a lot of fat on the body, especially around the midsection, that also is very close to a lot of the liver and the pancreas and those organs. So it can cause the most damaging effects.
If you're just joining us, I'm speaking with Brenda Watson, author of The Detox Strategy on Your Supernatural Life here on Green 60. And for podcasts of this show, go to yoursupernaturallife.com. So, Brenda, how can we figure out exactly how toxic we are? I mean, like your friend in L.A., assumed she wasn't toxic because she was eating organic food, but what's the good way to figure that out?
Well, in the Detox Strategy book, I did a questionnaire, and it's called the Body Burden Test. Now, you could go to you could go to places. Now, I work with a clinic here. I'm in the Florida area, but I work with a clinic here, and when we have people with a lot of allergies, we test them. We test the urine for any type of, chemical overload or, sensitivity. It's interesting, the other day we found a girl having migraine headaches, and she was sensitive now to something that's in diesel fuel. What in the world is she going to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the point being is, we have a questionnaire called the body burden test that's in the Detox Strategy book, and that's a questionnaire. And once you fill that out, and look at it, you go, oh, okay. Now, if you wanted to know exactly what was in your body, of course, you'd have to be physically tested with a blood test or a urine test, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
But this questionnaire will give you a really good idea
Mm-hmm.
on your level of toxins.
And what I've noticed for myself is that the cleaner I get, the less sensitive I seem to be. So if this gal who's sensitive to diesel fuel, let's say, she cleans out her liver, et cetera, she may not be as sensitive down the road.
Right. But, the average person, I've been doing the type of work I do for 20 years. And certainly when I started this, it was really, not very well known. But the average person today doesn't realize that every time that they take an ibuprofen or that they, that they eat a food that's, I did a show the other day, and I just pulled up a factoid on celery has 67 chemicals in it.
Right, non-organic celery.
Non-organic.
Right. Yeah.